Hello. Okay. Oh, fine, fine. So my audio and video are clear now. Okay. So I'll start briefly about my introduction, and then I'll go on detailing about my strategies for the prelims, mains and interview, and I'll discuss certain important preparation aspects, and later on your specific comments and questions will be addressed. Is it all right? Okay. So is my camera okay? Hello. Okay, somebody please mention whether the position of the camera and the audio and video are perfect or not. Okay, fine. So I'll begin by introducing myself. I'm E. Sai Shivani, and I have secured All India rank 11 uh, in this year's civil services examination. And I come from an engineering background. So I have completed my electronics and communications engineering. So I've graduated in 2022, and since then I started preparing for UPSC exam. So this is my second attempt at UPSC, and I've secured this 11th rank in my second attempt. In the previous first attempt, I could not clear prelims. So this is my personal brief introduction, and I will give the credit of this exam's clearance to my parents and my teachers, and this particular ambition of becoming a civil servant was there in my brain back in my schooling days. So as and when I progressed through college and university, this particular dream became stronger, and I decided to pursue the civil services. So then I'll start by telling about the prelims preparation. The book list and the resources I'll comment down in this video, and the UPSC time channel, they'll pin it down so that you can refer through the book list. And as far as prelims preparation is concerned, I'll tell that there are four important subjects in general studies which I call the foundational subjects. So they are the polity, history, economy, and environment plus geography. So these four are the building blocks for the preparation. Once you are strong with these four, the portion of your prelims paper, the GS paper especially, becomes very easy for you, because the static understanding of these subjects is very important. And when it comes to the CSAT paper, we know that there are two sections, the reading comprehension and the math part. I'll come to the process of preparation and solving those papers in a while. So first, let me discuss what is needed for prelims preparation. So first things first, certain subjects are very important, so much so that you have to revise them thoroughly. So for example, let's take polity as a subject. So many of us are coming from other different educational backgrounds, not just humanities. So we have very little understanding of these subjects initially. But as and when we go through the preparation, we understand these subjects. It is important that we collect important data or important topics from these subjects and revise them time and again. For example, if we take polity, we have the articles, the constitutional articles, and we have the important chapters like parliament, center-state relations, and some things like miscellaneous things like the amendments. We remember a lot of these, but initially what happens is that we feel it a lot, like literally we feel there are a lot of topics or these minute factual information to memorize. So for that you have to break down the syllabus into different aspects. For example, I used to just note down what are all the important polity articles, constitutional articles. For example, say we know the fundamental rights and directive principles, but what are beyond them? So we have some other articles like 356, the emergency articles, and in between also we have some important articles. So I used to make one A4 size sheet, and on which I used to write all the important articles by myself. I understand that there are already certain maps and this factual data sheets that are available online, but I prefer writing it by our own selves, because in this process we not only just give it a glance, but a few informations and this little factual things, they get seated in our brain. So I advise candidates to write on their own. So it is not too much, just a single page of articles. Once you write them and paste it on your wall, you can give a glance to it every day, and naturally you will be aware of many of the important political articles. So this is something to do with the factual stuff. And there are similar things for the other subjects, like the maps for geography, wherein we have the map pointing for rivers, mountains and all of them. And also if we take the environment subject, so we have the national parks, endangered species and wildlife sanctuaries or biosphere reserves. What are all the national parks and protected areas included in one particular biosphere reserve? So all of these important topics, you can just make maps and you can give it a glance each and every day, so that this kind of information gets seated in your brain, and this also will act as an engaging activity for you in the prelims preparation. And other than that, if I talk about the economy, the subject economy, as we know, this subject is very practical. So while you are preparing economy, make your topics or make your static very clear. And once you're clear with your static, you can solve certain questions. And here I'll recommend you to solve a book called Eco 550. So in which there are almost 500 plus MCQs on various economy topics. So once you are done with your economy syllabus, you can just practice those MCQs, and this will make your conceptual understanding far better. And there are other important subjects like geography, wherein static understanding, crystal clear understanding of topics is very clear. So accordingly, you can schedule your preparation days, and you can plan the number of hours or number of days for different subjects according to your own interest. And when it comes to CSAT, firstly, in my first attempt also, I did not clear the CSAT cutoff. So it was 66.66, I guess. So I did not clear that also. So there are certain changes that I did in my second attempt. For example, I started understanding different topics that are handpicked by the UPSC to ask in the prelims CSAT paper. For example, in 2023 ka paper, we have seen that number system questions were asked a lot, and also probability, permutations and combinations. So questions from these topics are asked more in number. So I observed that these topics are very much important. So for the 2024 attempt, I prepared these topics, and additionally I also prepared the percentages and other important topics. So what is the material for preparation for CSAT? There is no absolute material, but yes, you can understand, you can identify the PYQ themes. So from each of these topics, just identify what are the PYQs given and try solving them. After you solve them, you have to make a proper sheet. So for example, I'll show you what I made. So this is one sheet wherein I have written what are the common mistakes, common traps in CSAT. Like, I'll upload it soon in my Telegram channel. So there are certain important references that I have noted in this. So for example, check all the numbers given in the question. So these are certain minute mistakes we do under the pressure of those 2 hours. So for example, blood relation questions. So we tend to forget the gender after identifying the answer. So that is something. And for statement type questions and something like the overlook type mistakes. So there are certain traps and mistakes that we do. And similar is the thing for reading comprehension. See, I have also made something similar to this for reading comprehension. So I have noted that when there are certain extremities given in the question, like very sweeping generalizations, so and certain words like must, inherently, only, so according to these words, I have to be very careful whether the question is going too extreme or whether the question is actually very simple. So I have to identify these, and we will learn to analyze this only when we are thorough with the PYQ practice. So for CSAT questions, I would probably recommend for you to go through the PYQs and then give certain mocks. But as far as reading comprehension is concerned, I think no mock test will come close in the standard of the UPSC reading comprehension. So carefully practice reading comprehensions. So for example, in my case, I practiced from 2011 to 2023. So all these years, previous year questions in the reading comprehension section, I covered them multiple times and practiced a lot. So that is what the approach should be. So reading comprehension will become your weapon when the math is going very tough in the paper. So do not stick on to one single portion in CSAT. Do not take it lightly. Give it due amount of practice. And it's fine if you come from a good math background or whatsoever, but give it a decent amount of time. So practice PYQs and analyze different traps that are given in the questions, and according to that you can prepare. And the next segment in the prelims preparation will be probably the current affairs part, and there is a lot of confusion regarding this as well, because current affairs is a lot and we seldom forget how much to read and how much to leave. This becomes a very important question, and here I'll advise you something. So first, as we start preparing for the UPSC exam, we all start with the newspapers. So firstly, you have to take one newspaper as a base and read it consistently. So why this newspaper is important is because you read the static concepts in different subjects, and this newspaper reading will make you understand the linkages between static and the current, and that is how the continuity, the flow and the momentum in your preparation picks up. And you have to use compilations for revisions. This is because you cannot make your own newspaper notes every day, because it kills a lot of time. You have to read the static, complete the optional, practicing test and whatso. So you have to be very careful here. You just read newspaper on a daily basis for just knowing things and making interconnections between your static and the current. And after a month, you will get different monthly compilations from various institutes. For example, I followed the Vision IAS monthly magazines, monthly current affair magazines. So in them, I used to read it section by section. Suppose under polity, there are certain current affairs given. Under economy, certain are given. So going through them, I will just underline or highlight whatever is important. And if I am reading newspaper daily, I will be knowing for sure that this particular news item has appeared some time before. So I'll make special emphasis on that important topic and also write some value addition points there. So this is how I'll read the current affairs. And remember, for prelims, for the point of view of the prelims, current affairs are needed, especially for international relations, for knowing government schemes, covering science and technology questions and mapping. So these particular segments of prelims will be covered through current affairs preparation. So this is how you have to go through the current affairs. And if I have to tell you broadly how to sum up the prelims preparation, so firstly, revision becomes a very important key, because we read a lot, and when you have to apply the data, apply the information that you have read through different subjects in prelims, you need to analyze the questions in the exam. So for that, revision a lot of times is very important. And for that, the process of revising is also important. For example, when we open the book of polity, it is our normal habit that we will start from the start, like the first chapter itself, the historical background and the different colonial era laws and all of that. But we commit a mistake, because once we start with the very first chapter in the book, until we read the important topics, we are almost drained out, we become exhausted. So that is how we place a lot of emphasis on topics which are not so important in the exam point of view, but we end up giving very less time to the topics that are actually important for the exam. So you see the parliament, the chapter parliament is somewhere in the part B or something in the Lakshmikant. But what you start for the revision is the colonial era laws in the historical background chapter. So this is where we are committing mistake. So I analyzed this mistake, and then for each of these subjects that we have to study for the prelims, I identified some priority areas. So whenever I open the book for revision, I'll read the priority topics first. So then on, I'll read the remaining topics. In this way, I'll ensure that the most important topics are covered first. So my strength area becomes stronger. So this is a priority area sheet that I have prepared. So under this there are different subjects. So under each of these subjects I have mentioned different topics that are important in the precedence manner. So for example, in history, if I open modern history, I'll read 1929 to 1947 period first. Then I'll read the period of 1885 to 1929. So this is how I scheduled or I analyzed different priority areas in each of the subject, and then I used to revise it. And one important tip that I can give you for prelims is that active recalling is the one technique that will help you save a lot of time and also gain confidence in revising prelims part. For example, in this active recall technique, we just close the book and we just mention, take a rough notebook, and then, or you can practice it without any notebook also. For example, there is a topic called preamble. So you will close your book and you will start remembering what is important about preamble. So there are different keywords in the preamble like the sovereign, socialist, secular, etc. And there are also different dates given. One date is given, that 26th of November 1949. That is what is given in the preamble. And there are certain Supreme Court judgments like the Berubari Union case, LIC case, Keshwananda Bharti case, which are related to the preamble. So this is how you will start remembering the important dates, facts, associated information related to that particular topic. And whenever you feel that you forgot something, then you will open that book and you will analyze where you are forgetting the topics. So then you will underline that particular important information, or you will read it again and again so that you will memorize that. So this is how your revision should look like. It should look like an active engaging with yourself rather than simply opening the book and reading for a lot of time. So this active recall method has personally helped me in strengthening my weak areas and also analyzing certain important things in the preparation. And broadly, I'll give you 4 important steps for prelims. For example, the static becomes very important. Number of times we undermine the importance of static and we'll give a lot of emphasis on current affairs. But you see, current affairs is never ending. No matter how much you read in the current affairs section, there is only something that can appear in the paper, prelims GS paper. So you see, the return on investment on current affairs is very less. On the other side, if you have a good understanding of the static, you can solve a lot of questions through intelligent guessing, analysis of the options, etc. So keeping these things in mind, you should actually put more emphasis on static. Keep in mind, like, you need to have certain 3 cycles of static revision, and then PYQ analysis becomes important, and giving mock test, and also the current affairs. And there is also a dilemma regarding the giving mock test, like, is it mandatory to give prelims mock test, or like, which institute ka mock test should I join, queries like that. So for that, I'll give you just one example. I have practiced the Vision IAS free PDFs available on the internet. So these were the mock test of the previous year, not the current year. So what I did was, the schedule was given and the mock test schedule also given. So I used to read those topics, the static topics, and I used to attempt the test in an exam like condition. So after completing the test, I used to evaluate my own performance, and whatever are the questions that I ticked wrong, I used to write the information or the points which I noted down wrong. So I used to write it back at the end of my paper. So in this way, I have a lot of notes out of my mock test, and time and again I used to revise those notes, and also revise the static and the mapping, etc., etc. So in this way, I've seen a score of almost 40 marks increase in my prelims score. For example, in the 2023 attempt, I could not even clear the cutoff. So I fell short some 5 to 6 marks below the cutoff. But in this year, in both the papers, I've got almost 30 marks plus the general cutoff. So I got 107 in the GS and somewhere around 96 in the CSAT. So this huge jump was due to this analysis, planning and consistent revision. So broadly, I can say that you have to understand your strength and weakness areas in different subjects, and accordingly you should plan and give more cycles of revision, place more emphasis on static, and the more you analyze, the better you will perform in the prelims exam. So this is how prelims preparation will look like. And if I have to tell something about the PYQs, the role of PYQs in the prelims, it is one word, it is immense. So once you start practicing those PYQs, you will try to understand the themes. What are the themes that are being repeated, or what are the themes that are important in each of these papers. And also you will know certain elimination patterns, certain trends that UPSC is showing year after year, and you will also know certain answers to the questions through solving PYQs. Like if there is some question this year, you can easily know the answer because like if it was asked in the previous years. So that is how PYQs are essentials for prelims preparation. Like if you have just one day for prelims revision, your revision should look like giving certain hours to static first, then PYQs, then the value addition, the mistake sheet that you have from the mock notes, and then the current affairs. So this is how it should look like. And overall, this is the the prelims preparation. And if the students who are attending live, if you have certain specific queries related to prelims, I'm ready to answer. Okay. If no one is having queries related to prelims, I'll start discussing about mains. Okay. Somebody is asking me about the book list. Sure, I will give you the book list, because since in a video if I go on telling, it will be clumsy. What I'll do is that I'll just write down in the comment section and I'll pin it down so that you can refer to the book list. Okay. Mock test. Somebody is asking about mock test. As I said earlier, I use the Vision IAS mock test, but that is not a paid mock test. So remember, for 2024 year, Vision IAS will release the 2024 paid test series. So what I did was I practiced 2023's prelims Vision IAS test series. So I did not buy it. So it was something about the last year mock test. And you will have a doubt regarding if you solved the last year mock test, how were you able to cover the current affairs? So one thing is that I used the mock test not for current affairs. I used mock test just to check my static knowledge. So that is one point. And PYQ analysis, as I have told you, you have to identify important themes, and once you identify them, you have to solve them, and each of the options given under the question you need to analyze, research a bit on those options and make a short notes. And additionally, you have to understand the common traps that UPSC is designing, like what kind of statements are more tend to be on the wronger side, which are the statements that can be on a majority side that can be true. So these are certain trends and patterns that you will understand by solving the previous year questions. And okay, since HiRise is actually a program of Understand UPSC. So back then it was a Telegram channel, and now it is an established institution. So the HiRise program was that whatever are the subjects that we read for prelims, they used to cover it in 30 days period just before prelims in a speed manner, so that if you are having any breaks or bridging gaps in your subjects, those can be covered. So that is what High Rise is about. It is just a fast paced revision course. And the next question somebody asked was about NCRTs. Okay. NCRTs, people will tell that you have to read from 6th to 12th, which in my case didn't work well, because I didn't find a lot of time, and I preferred specific NCRTs only, just 2-3 NCRTs for 2 NCRTs for polity. That is, one is the Indian Constitution Network, other one is the political theory. These two for polity. And when it comes to geography, I used class 11, class 12th NCRT books. And other than that, for other subjects I didn't use much, but for history I did refer the R.S. Sharma, Bipin Chandra, but only in the case of history I referred the new NCRTs as well. So here I want to give some clarification, because until now we are reading the old NCRTs for understanding the history for different segments like ancient, medieval and modern. But the thing here is that year after year UPSC is asking questions from the new NCRTs. So this is becoming a problem. So for that, firstly I completed the old NCRTs, and whatever are the inbox data and back of the lesson MCQs given in the new NCRTs, or certain terminology, like in history there is a recent trend that certain terms are being asked. So I identified those topics, and only out of those topics I used to make short notes. So this is how I covered new NCRTs in a fast and efficient manner, and I didn't revise it lot of times. Once I'm done with making short notes out of new NCRTs, I didn't read the entire book. I only used to revise those important pointers that I grabbed from the new NCRT. And one important thing is that no matter how much you read in NCRTs, like in history specifically, the return on investment is very less. So be sure about it. It is not about reading a lot of books, but about understanding the subject and preparing in an efficient manner. So this is what matters for the exam. It's not important how many books you read. The minimum your book list is, the maximum your analysis or revision time can be, and that is what is needed for the exam as well. And any specific queries, or shall we go ahead with the mains preparation strategy? Okay, so let us first complete this mains preparation aspect as well, and then we'll go through the comments or certain important queries regarding the mains. So soon I'll also discuss the note making in this video itself. First of all, for mains, scheduling is the most important word that I can mention, because you will get around 2.5 months to cover a lot of things. For this you have to be good at scheduling. Okay, and then almost the most important second word will be the brainstorming, because we tend to open the questions and we begin to write with no idea or clarity in our head. So we fail miserably. Initially I failed miserably writing the answers, but then I have understood that there is something called brainstorming. So what is it? In brainstorming, we'll just see the question and we'll understand it. So okay, certain question is asking about globalization, effects of globalization on women. Okay, globalization, we know that. What are the effects on women? Okay, so you are thinking inside your brain, and you are thinking that this is a 10 marker question, so you are given 2 pages to write the answer. So impact, what is an impact? It is just an effect, right? So there can be positive effects and negative effects. So in this you will analyze that, okay, globalization has also given some positive things for women, so they can access things not just in their vicinity but from abroad, and they have their own platform to voice their thoughts. like social media or technology, etc., etc. So you'll understand that there are these positive impacts on women, and we'll also think how globalization is having negative impacts on women, like commodification, etc., etc., cross-border threats, whatsoever. So you will understand that there are certain pointers in your head. You are not even writing, you are just thinking what to write in the question. So this is how you have to start with answer writing. So first you can brainstorm. You can take few questions from certain subjects as a practice initially, and once you are comfortable with this, you can go ahead with writing the actual answers. Okay. So in this, uh, PYQs again play a very important role, and believe me, doing PYQs a lot of times will help you clear mains easily. Like, I do not know what kind of marks that you will get, but analyzing PYQs, practicing them rigorously will make you clear mains. So this is my word. And PYQs, as important as for prelims, are more important for mains. So why? You will understand the themes. So what are the important themes that UPSC is asking across different papers like GS 1, 2, 3, 4 and essay. So you will understand these, and I'll discuss optional in detail in a while. And there are four important metrics that I believe that mains preparation is centered around. First is the content. Why? Because we have a lot of things in mind. We have read so far for prelims, but we fail to write what is that decent content for an answer. So first you have to have content, then you have to have structure for your answers. So your answer should meet the different demands of the question. Your answer should have subparts, different dimensions, examples, substantiation, a body, intro and a conclusion. So all of this is needed for your answer. So content, structure, then speed. Speed becomes very much important because you have to complete 20 questions at any cost. So it's not important whether you know them or not. You have to complete the 20 questions under the 3-hour time limit. And the last one is the value addition. This is something that will give an edge to your answers and will give you your preferred service. So mains is that bedrock that will ensure that you will be in the list, and the value addition kind of structuring that you do and the completion of different questions and the decent content, these will make your name to appear in the final list. So this is something that you should be taking utmost care of. And after completing this, there is actually, on a whole, if we talk about, there is a similar approach for writing all of these GS papers, but I'll go in detail of different GS papers and I'll give you a brief outline about how to approach each of these GS papers. For example, we have GS1, and as you know, you have history, in the form of art and culture, and then you have society, world history, and post-independence, geography, society, etc. So for these subjects, if you can understand, there are a lot of static in nature. Nothing is more dynamic in society. Like, yes, there are, but a lot of things are just static in nature. For example, concepts like caste system, women, globalization. You have contemporary examples. I accept it, but these topics are more of static in nature. There are repeated questions year after year. So you have to understand those repeated questions, repeated themes, and make notes out of it. So that is how your GS1 note making should look like. And apart from that, I understood that this paper needs a lot of this technicality. Something like, see, if you are writing a art and culture question, so what is that value addition that you can give in a history? So it can be as simple as writing the chronology or giving a contextual introduction. For example, in my case, I have noted down different historians and their understanding of different ages in the history. For example, Romila Taparji has said something about IVC. So I had taken that statement that she exactly quoted and I used it in the introduction of IVC question. So see how much of value addition you brought about just by giving a technical order to an introduction. So that is how you have to pick the introductions, conclusions of various historians. So this is not necessary, but if you have that time, if you have that zeal for value addition, you can definitely explore this option. So I did personally for ancient, medieval and modern. I have taken some historians and their opinions about different ages. For example, something is said about Gupta age. So I have taken both positive statement and a negative statement. So negative not so in the sense of uh, like hate speech or something, but negative in the sense that if we also know that Gupta age is called a golden age, but also some social evils are also started in this age. So whether there is something said by some famous historian about this particular segment of Gupta age. So this is what I'll search. So you can use Google, AI extensively for this matter. So I have used literally these options for taking the introductions, conclusions for history. So this is how you can have the value addition for history. And similar is the thing for geography. For geography, you will have to draw extensive maps, diagrams, tabular forms. So that is how your paper looks so much holistic. So this should be your approach. And okay, let's go to the GS2 now. As you know, GS2 and 3 are dynamic in nature. A lot of current affair questions can be expected in these papers. So for these papers GS2 and 3, you have to first prepare the static content. So I'll discuss in a while about how to prepare for current affairs for these papers. But first of all, अब GS2 के पेपर में हमें 4 सब्जेक्ट्स है, like the polity, IR and social justice and the governance. And in polity, if we look at the type of questions that are being asked, पॉलिटी के क्वेश्चंस में तो ज़्यादा के ज़्यादा हमें पार्लियामेंट से कुछ लाइक द वर्किंग ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट, is executive work or like over ruling its own jurisdiction, and the tussle between the 3 organs like the legislature, executive, judiciary. So these kind of questions we can expect more in polity. And also some things like the basic features of the constitution, like the topic 4 in the polity is comparison of Indian constitutions with other constitutions. So that is how, going by point given in the syllabus, you can actually look at how you can prepare. And for IR, current events are more important, and if you are quoting something in your answers, like make sure that you also use that keywords. For example, Maldives के बारे में कुछ question है, like you will have that keywords like Maldives, it serves as something important in the Indian Ocean, it acts as a toll gate in the Indian Ocean. And you will also quote how there is some Indian assistance, we have built some hospitals, and Operation Neer you can quote, and also you can quote their infamous India Out campaign. So these are certain important things that will act as keywords in your answer. And apart from this, one important thing that I did for IR is that I collected different statements of political scientists or people who are very frequently writing about geopolitics. For example, if you are a regular reader of the Hindu, you will find that Dr. Harsh V. Pant, he regularly writes about geopolitics. So I usually had this habit of picking up important statements or important information from the editorials. Similarly, I took out important pointers from these editorials, especially related to IR, and I used to quote them in my answers, in introductions or in substantiation or in conclusion. So this is how I managed to give some value addition to IR questions as well. And if you are keenly interested, you can also draw diagrams in IR also. And especially when we talk about subjects like governance and social justice, the topics are very static in nature. For example, prepare templates on education, health and efficacy of civil services, and then e-governance. E-governance is one important segment that you should have notes on. So these are certain important topics on which you can have a template, prepare short notes. And also, if I can talk about the value addition for GS2 paper, there are few pointers like the Supreme Court judgments becomes the most important value addition for this page. And apart from that, the constitution articles, amendments and acts वगैरह कुछ ये सब value addition के लिए आप लिख सकते हो. And coming to GS3 paper, it's very technical in nature. You can just follow the basic approach like whatever I have said for reading these subjects, and you can add value addition through committee recommendations, stats from government website. You can extensively use the economic survey and budget data, and you can use the reports of some institutions for that matter. So in this way you can add a lot of value addition and you can have a decent score in GS3. So this is how we will tackle the GS2 and 3, and this is about static one. For current affairs, you can take any one compilation, like for example Vision Mains 365 or something. Once you take that, you underline or you find out important topics that have a lot of probability to appear in the mains. So once you identify such topics, you can just make short notes out of it, and you will revise only that short notes of the current affairs. So this is how you will balance your static and current का preparation for mains. And आगे के लिए हम GS4 देखते हैं. So in GS4 हमें दो sections मिलते हैं. तो one is a theory based and the other one is a case study based. So theory में हम क्या करते हैं कि हमें लगभग 12 to 13 questions मिलेगा. So in those questions there are certain type of questions like the code based questions and questions like the thinker or philosophy based questions or application based questions. So for each of these 3 or 4 types of questions you need to have a template. And एक जो इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ है एथिक्स के पेपर के लिए वो है कीवर्ड्स. सो लाइक यू हैव टू यूज़ अ लॉट ऑफ कीवर्ड्स फॉर एथिक्स. Unless you use them, your ethics ka paper will look like GS paper only. So that is one important thing that you have to keep in mind. ज़्यादा के ज़्यादा ethics के keywords, philosopher, thinkers ये quote करो ताकि पेपर ethics का पेपर जैसा लगे. और there has to be a difference between the GS 1 to 3 and 4 का paper. So keep this thing in mind and accordingly practice, and a lot of examples needs to be quoted in ethics answers. You need to prepare a lot of examples for each of the chapters mentioned in the ethics syllabus. And for case study section I did one important thing. So though I practice a lot of case studies in different previous year questions, one important thing that I personally believe that is helping in nature is that you have to prepare a template for different type of case studies that are being asked. So for each of that template, prepare the pointers in hand, and similar kind of questions you will get to see in the mains also. So there is not a lot of difference that you will observe in case studies. Whatever are the case studies being asked before, more or less you will observe the similar ones in the upcoming papers also. So prepare a template accordingly and just write it down according to the case study given in the exam. And I am actually sharing how I tackle different papers in my Telegram channel. I'll post the link of this Telegram channel in the comment section. And the next one is the essay. For essay, what I did was I used to take previous year questions. Initially I did not write any essay, so I just brainstormed for essay a lot. So that was my practice initially. For example, I took some PYQ, brainstormed over it almost like half an hour to 45 minutes. मैं सोचने लगी थी क्या लिखूँ इसमें. So बस I had only that thought, like what shall I write in this answer or in this question. So that is how I used to take different examples. Examples are taken from topper copies, newspaper, and some GS subjects also. Like if we read history, we find a lot of examples like Ashoka ka Dharma. You can quote it anywhere, and you can also understand like how invasions on the northwest frontier, like it impacted the culture of the northern part of India, how southern part of India was literally safe because it has no border with other kingdoms. So that is how you will get a lot of examples after you go through your GS. So you can take examples from all of these things and start brainstorming, structure your essay, give it a good arguments and good flow, and your essay preparation will be sorted. And one important thing that I'll tell you before I just give a pause is that आंसर राइटिंग स्टाइल अलग हो सकता है. लाइक यू नीड नॉट बी राइटिंग इन पॉइंट्स और पैराग्राफ्स. You can identify your own style and you can go about it. You can just refine or polish your skills. And usage of topper copies. So what should you analyze after you refer to a topper copy? Firstly, you should see the structuring of the answers that they did, like how they were able to make 3 to 4 different parts in a question and address each part. So that is what you have to understand. Second is the value addition that they are doing, the different dimensions that they are bringing in the answers, and how they are presenting the answer. Like are they using diagrams, hub and spoke, maps, data, whatsoever, how they are making their answers more presentable. So ये सब जो चीज़ें हैं ये ध्यान से देखिएगा जब भी आप टॉपर कॉपीज रिफर करते हो. And overall your approach in the answers should be positive, balanced, and you have to give some optimistic or futuristic conclusions. For example, if you have a question on UCC, the Uniform Civil Code, हमें पता है कि there are positives and negatives to it, but we also know that this is something that is given in the directive principles itself, which means that this is included in the broader vision of our constitution forefathers, right? So that is something positive in nature, but हमें पता है कि आजकल का जो सिनेरियो है इनके लिए कंपैटिबल नहीं है. तो फिर यूसीसी गलत नहीं है, लेकिन देर इज सम इशू, some compatibility issue in the current scenario. So you will write that UCC though is very futuristic, optimistic in nature, but going through the current scenario it needs lot of deliberation, discussion. Like you will write in this manner, you will show that this particular concept is very good, but since we have this kind of difficulties right now, we need some deliberation, we need some stakeholder consultation, and sooner we will have a solution for this. So this is how a bureaucratic mindset should be visualized in your conclusions. So that is about the approach. And yeah, if you have any questions, अभी तक जो भी क्वेश्चंस है मेंस प्रिपरेशन के बारे में या फिर कुछ और अलग चीज़ों के बारे में, तो आप बस बता सकते हैं एंड आई विल आंसर देम. Okay. Like regarding the essay structure, firstly, if you can give two paragraphs in each paper, that will look decent enough. So whatever is the structuring in the essay, it is for making it look decent and look in a flow. And I'll tell you one example. For example, if you are writing an essay and you are starting it with an anecdote or a story, so you will use the first full page for writing this anecdote, and second page से आप लिखेंगे कि हम इस essay में ये चीज़ों को देख पाएंगे. तो फिर that will become your little introduction, and then you will start with your arguments. So like in this manner you will have different or almost like 2 paragraphs in each paper. and this is how you will be able to complete 10 papers for essay. So this should be the ideal structure, and in detail, if you want, I can make a short video and I'll post it in my Telegram channel about how you can use different structures in essay, different value additions and connectors. I'll soon upload it in my Telegram channel. And somebody asked about how to make notes of these new NCRTs. Remember, firstly, once you are thorough with your history का concepts, जो भी inbox data है in new NCRTs, like the do you know section or some important map pointers, maps given in the new NCRT, or at the end of each lesson you will have some MC quiz. So these are the important pointers that you have to make notes on. And if I have to tell specifically that one important concept in new NCRTs, that is the maps. So I understood that in the maps there are certain key cities given, like they are the port cities, and UPSC is asking again and again the port cities of different empires. So what is the these are port cities of which particular kingdom, and this particular name like Dharani Kota belong to which time period or something. It was for the Shatkarnis. So there are certain key aspects UPSC is asking out of these maps. So maps are essential, and multi-dimensional answers for mains. See, there are literally different approaches for mains answer writing. So I'll tell you. One is the staple approach, STAPLE, which means socio, technological, administrative, political, legal, economic. So you will take different points from each of these dimensions. And something that you will use is the temporal approach. Temporal means that you refer to back date and the present date. So what were the things that were going in the past, what are those going in the present. So you will make a comparison between them and you will write. And something like life cycle approach. For example, if there is a question asked in the agriculture subject of GS3, for example, it is about the seeds. So you will understand there is a life cycle in agriculture, like starting with the inputs, and then how you are managing the farm, and then the supply, transport, marketing, all of this. So this becomes a life cycle approach. In this way, you will give different dimensions to your answers according to different subjects. So this is how multi-dimensional answers should look like. Okay, prelims and mains separate notes. Okay, yes, but it is not compulsory. So you have to prepare notes, but it is not compulsory that you should definitely have a notes for each of these subjects. Not at all. You will need to understand which subjects needs notes. For prelims, mostly it can be covered through the standard books. You can just make short notes or that little inbox data pointers that you can write in the book itself, in the standard book itself. But for mains, you will have to have some micro theme notes. So mains notes is different, but yes, for prelims, you can write important information that you are forgetting most often, or important topics from which questions are more expected. So you can write only those things as notes. So it is not necessary that you will need to have some compulsory notes for every subject. So you need to take the stand according to your own strength and weakness areas. And there are certain questions that are being asked. Okay, I'll just in a while discuss about the anthropology. Since it's my optional, I'll tell you about the optional in detail. And somebody asked about how effective number of hours I was able to put in my preparation. So for it, firstly, like it is not the quantity that matters, the quality of your work will matter the most. But if somebody tells you that you have to read 16 to 18 hours, it is false, because हमारी भी जो कैपेसिटीज है वो लिमिटेड है. Like, okay, it's clear, I think. Like you cannot simply flaunt these many hours. Like even if you do that, like for example, I also got delusional with this popular recommendation of reading 16 to 18 hours. So one day I read 16 hours a day. So I did that for one single day, and I could realize that in the successive days, in the next 2-3 days, I was not even able to read for 6 to 8 hours. So that is when I realized that there is a concept called sustainability. So you have to understand how many hours of sustainable work your body and your mind can do in a single day. So according to that only you should plan. If somebody is able to read 20 hours, let them read. It's not your cup of tea. You understand how much is the time that is required for you to complete the task for the day, and take that time. And keep in mind, your physical, emotional, mental health is extremely important to go through this preparation. And please do not fall for these 18 hour 16 hour approaches, because it is not sustainable for the health. And have good 6 to 8 hours of sleep each day. I personally managed 6 to 8 hours of continuous sleep. कंटिन्यूस का स्लीप का मतलब जो होता है कि हम बीच में नहीं उठते, लाइक वी डू नॉट वेक अप इन द मिडिल एंड सी फोन, मोबाइल फोन और समथिंग. So that is not ideal. You have to have continuous 6 to 8 hours sleep, because sleep will make your memory more strong, and sleep will give you that refresh that will make you start your day in a more vibrant manner. Do not compromise on your food and on your sleep. Have this 6 to 8 hours of sleep regularly. And effective for that question, personally, for prelims I used to read somewhere around 6 to 8 hours, and for mains it went past 12 hours, but I never checked on stopwatch how many hours am I reading on each day. So I didn't check it. But how did I know? Because I used to schedule my day on the before night. So I used to understand, I used to make different slots for completion of various subjects, and I used to dedicate the number of hours, because that number of hours will give me some limit to complete the portion. So that is how I maintained like a to-do list just before going to bed. So the next day that I woke up, then I'll go ahead with the task without even thinking. So many a times we aspirants commit a mistake that we'll think that kal hi kar lenge planning. So we'll go to bed, and when we wake up in the next morning, we are clueless about the different task. So do not do that mistake. Once you're done with the day, plan for the next day before you go to bed. So when you plan for the next day and when you wake up the next day, you will have detailed set of tasks to do. So you do not have time waste, you do not have that dilemma what to plan. So that is how you will actually go ahead with your day without any hassles. Okay. Detailed day in my life. Okay, fine. So one important thing is that not every day will look the same. Like no matter how much consistent, how much disciplined that I am, I may have some cheat days, I may have some off days. So you have to realize that we do not live in an ideal life. So think practically. Like though I maintain a schedule and I put in a lot of hours of work to read, to do every day, sometimes there are some off days also. Okay, so if I take them away, on an average I used to wake up at 5 a.m. because I feel I am able to work more in the early morning hours. So that is my particular strength area. So I used to wake up at 5 a.m. and 5 a.m. to 7:30 I used to revise some important thing, or I used to make notes for optional or something, like something very interesting to kickstart my day. And after 7:30 I used to do go ahead with the daily task and do some yoga meditation, because it helps me keep my day fresh and to keep my body and mind in balance. So that is why I used to pursue my hobby each and every day. And when I complete all of this, in morning 9 to 12 का एक slot होता था, जब afternoon break होता था, I used to take a nap. like of a half an hour or 25 minutes का जो nap. So I used to take that, and after that 2 p.m. से लेकर 5 p.m. तक एक slot. So in these bigger slots I used to study some big subjects, like if I am preparing for mains का note making एक slot of particular 2 subjects, because 3 hours for one single subject will be boring in nature. So that is how I used to do. And other than that, I used to have a slot for optional and slot for revision. So this is how I used to plan my day effectively. So this is how my day looks like. And yes, for prelims I used to read somewhere around 6 to 8, for mains 12 plus easily, and for interview I did not really keep track of how many hours, but yes, it was also hectic on certain days. So remember, your preparation will look like a normal day. It's not something like you are putting 14 hours a day. It's not needed. So understand the demands of the exam. As in, when the demand of exam should be met, you should plan your work hours or the number of tasks that you have to do. It is not important that you spend 16 hours each day. Your health is extremely important. So plan something that is sustainable in the long run. This is my advice. And are there any comments further, or shall I go with the optional preparation? Okay, confusion regarding current affairs. I'll clarify that in a minute. Okay, how long did you prepare? Fine. So one important, I'll take these 2 important concepts that, yeah, just a minute. I'll answer all your queries, but just give me some time. I'll first discuss 2 important things. Like somebody asked about how much duration that I did prepare, and somebody asked about the current affairs strategy. I'll discuss these 2 questions, and I'll go through the optional strategy, and then you can ask in the comment sections again. Okay. So first is that, as I said in earlier interviews also, I prepared for optional in 2020, that is during the pandemic time. So I was still in my college days, so I was in my second year, or the end of second year or third year in my college. So back then, when the pandemic hit, our college was closed and I came to my home. So then I thought, this time, if utilized properly, I can have some little bit of interest in learning new subject. So that is how I started optional, and unknowingly I prepared that in the pandemic period itself. So I am done with the optional before, but I will not say that you have to have these many years for preparing for this exam. It's not needed. Since I had that luxury of time, I prepared it very slowly. The optional I took almost 1 year. So that is what. And apart from that, I graduated in 2020 to summer. So after that I took a 1 or 2 months break to understand the subject and preparation, and it took me almost 2 years post that to prepare for this exam, like to qualify in this attempt. So that is how my preparation looked like. And other than this, the current affairs strategy, one important thing is that you have to read one newspaper every day. And somebody will say that I did not read a newspaper, or newspaper is not sustainable. It's up to them, but my perspective is that newspaper will help you build the concepts. It will make you aware of everyday happenings and make your preparation interesting. So if you have the luxury of time, you can read newspaper, but as and when prelims approaches, you can skip away reading the newspaper. So that is what is important. Once you read the newspaper, you are aware of the happenings, right? And then on, for prelims, you will read the compilation. It can be the monthly compilation or the PT365, but not both. If you are following one thing, just revise the notes out of it, or if you are following the PT365, revise the notes out of it. Do not do both, because it will waste your time. And other than that, for mains, you have mains 365 or some other important compilation if you find something in the market. And what you have to do is that you have to make short notes, but do not make everything, like do not write every pointer from that booklet. Just write what is important, what is most important for the exam point of view. So this is what you have to make notes on the current affairs and follow it, right? So as I said earlier, I'll now discuss how you have to cover your optional. It is very little, so, and then I'll tell you about personality test and some other important questions like the coaching, relevance of coaching, and yes, so newspapers, all of this I'll discuss in a bit, and then I can give you full time to answer your questions. Okay, so first for the optional, if you are clueless about how to select an optional, first things first, you have to answer these 4 questions to yourself. First one is whether this optional is interesting for you or not. It can be interesting for Shivani, some X and Y and Z, but is it interesting for you? That is the first question. So once you know the answer to this question, yes, this particular optional seems interesting to me, okay, then you can think about it. Then refer to the syllabus and the PYQs of that particular optional. So once you go to the syllabus, you see that how long this optional is, how lengthy the syllabus is, and how PYQs, like previous year questions, are being asked for this optional. You will know all of this. Okay, then you will know the difficulty level of the optional. Then you will understand whether any resources are available for this optional. For example, are there any standard books in the market? Are there any topper copies? Are there any institutions or courses which you can rely upon? So check the availability. I am telling this because I have seen certain aspirants from electrical or like some technical backgrounds. They didn't find the resources very well. So resources also becomes an important criteria. And fourth and the most important is the trend, like whether this optional is scoring enough or not. You have to analyze these 4 criteria, and then only you can pick one optional, right? Remember, your optional gives you that rock solid marks to place your name in the list. So pick your optional wisely. And for optional, the basic strategy, like if like because I am from humanities optional anthropology, I'll tell you what the strategy can be, the ideal strategy can be. Firstly, you have to complete one reading, and you see that whatever optional you may take, there is no one single book for optional. You have some 2 3 4 books for optional coverage. Do not cover them end to end, only list down what are the topics mentioned in the syllabus. So as and when you find a book, if certain topics from the syllabus are covered in that book, you can then uh, read or study those topics from that book and then go on to the next book. Do not read it end to end, it is of no use. You just have to keep syllabus in mind and go through that accordingly. And then do not make notes in the first reading, because in the first reading you will find everything is important. You will end up making bulky notes. Don't do that. So you will do one single reading, and in the second reading you will identify what are the important things. Then go through PYQs. What are the important themes given? You see, in optional, PYQs are repeated a lot. So after going through PYQs, you can make detailed notes on each of these topics, right? And time and again you will revise it, because optional is so bulky. No matter whichever optional you take, it is bulky, like it's an MA level subject, so you have to revise it a lot of times, right? You can use interesting methods like stick notes, or writing it on wall, or making some mnemonics, etc. You can try any innovative methods that you want, but you prepare it, revise it a lot of times, right? And also make short notes. For example, I also made short notes for anthropology to revise it more during the mains phase. And also, you will also know that after our GS papers are completed, we'll get some 5 days for revising the optional. So you should be able to revise the entire portion in those 5 days. So imagine the pain that you have to go through. For that, short notes will become your savior. So make short notes after a lot of revisions during the mains period, right? And in exam, your important motives should be writing the PYQs, like answer writing practice while you are carrying out for optional. You write for the PYQs. write PYQs, then add like value addition pointers, structuring, like write in paragraph format. Bullet points are only ideal for GS papers. Then write the thinkers, diagrams, keywords. All of this will complete your optional preparation. So this is how you have to do. And somebody was asking about the test series for mains. I'll tell you, like I have taken one test series for GS. Like I have taken the forum IAS test series, but I'll tell you one thing, test series is not mandatory. Then why did I take it? I took it out of FOMO, right? Then is it necessary? Yes, if you want to know where you stand, right? It is not mandatory that everybody should take the test series. Like I took it because I got it for some discount, because I was a previous student. Like I also took some test series, mains test series in the previous attempt also. So I got some discount and applied for this year also. What you have to understand or analyze through this mock test of mains is important. Firstly, your speed. Okay, under 3 hours of time, were you able to complete the paper or not? So that is what you have to check. Then the content. Is the content decent enough? Is there some value addition, structure, addressing the demand of the question? So all of these things will become important, and you can analyze these through your mock test. But do not run behind this and that course for mains. Always your own work will reward you well. Yes, if you have some answer writing gaps, you can enroll into a test series, or more so like mentorship or something like that. But do not run behind courses. Check affordability, quality and relevance according to your needs, and then take a decision. Do not simply buy a test series just because a topper has taken it. So that should be your concern. And yeah, this sums up the mains preparation. And if you have any specific query regarding mains, I can just stop and answer your questions. ओके, डेली आंसर राइटिंग एंड तैयारी फर्स्ट डे से लेकर लास्ट डे तक. ओके, लाइक देखो, हमें पता नहीं है कितने बार रिवाइज करना है. लाइक वी हैव टू रिवाइज टिल यू मेमोराइज द स्टफ, टिल यू गेट द कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर. दैट इज इट. Somebody can read it thrice and remember everything. Somebody like me will need some more time. So it is upon the individual. It is not fixed. You have to revise it a lot of times, because then the concepts will get clear, and while you are writing answers in mains also, your pen will flow. It will not stop. So revision becomes important. And somebody asked why UPSC? Because I had this dream of becoming an IAS officer since my childhood. So I took it off. And note making, I'll just come in a while. Yes, mains bouncer questions. This is something that I want to share here. See, there are bouncer questions in prelims also, mains and interview. For specifically in mains, I'll tell you one thing. जब आप इस लाइक 2024 का मेंस पेपर देखते हैं, लाइक इन GS1 देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन अबाउट ट्विस्टर्स. आई हैव रिटन इट अबाउट इट, बट इफ यू आस्क मी, आई डू नॉट नो व्हाट अ ट्विस्टर इज. देन yes, I wrote the answer, because I observed that it is asked in the geography section of GS1. Yes, like there is no mentioning of GS1 there, like geography there, but I understood that it's a geography question. Like geography में आप क्या expect करते हो? Like there are geographical phenomena, or there are some climate change events that are happening. And what are the geographical phenomena that you know? Climatic phenomena, like you know the cyclones, the rainfall, all of it, like the La Nina, El Nina, the phenomena that you know. And you obviously know that there are some positive effects and also negative effects. So you will write some generalistic points about the phenomena. Like for example, this bouncer is about some geographical or climatic phenomena. I have written that this twisters, like it's a geographical phenomena, culmination of few events, and positive effects, like it brings some weather changes, all of it. So then negative effects, it can cause livelihood destruction, it can impact food security, it can impact economy. Yes, it impacts, but it's not wrong, right? So you need not go into the specifics, but you can write in generalistic manner such that you are addressing the demand of the question. You're getting some decent marks. Yes, you might get some lower marks in such questions, but still majority of the people are leaving the question, so then you are on the edge, right? So this is how we we attempt the bouncer questions. And somebody is telling about ethics and essay and revision. Okay, I'll discuss these two. See, revision कैसे करना है ये personal choice है, but one thing is that you have to plan it. For example, मेंस के बारे में अगर मैं बात करूँ तो हमें कुछ ज़्यादा ही लोड है रिवाइज करने का. Like we have to cover 1, 2, 3, 4 essay, optional, everything. So for this, my strategy was I used to dedicate some number of days for each of the GS paper, and each of the day that I have during mains prep, I used to dedicate a slot for revision. So whatever is the subject that I covered yesterday, I used to revise it in a quick manner. So not too much time, but yes, in a quick manner, right? And for prelims, if I tell you, revision is a lot. Like you can dedicate a good slot for revision itself. I used early mornings for revision, and I also used some fact sheet, because in prelims also, like the tables in geography textbooks, the maps, they are being asked in the exam. So I used to maintain that fact sheet, and I used to revise it in the early mornings. This is how revision is important, but the frequency of revision, the topics set for revision depends upon the individual, right? So accordingly you can take the call. And somebody asked about एथिक्स एंड ऐसे, राइट. सो एथिक्स के बारे में तो कुछ ज़्यादा परेशानी नहीं लेने. लाइक देर आर फ्यू पॉइंटर्स दैट यू नीड टू टेक केयर अबाउट. फर्स्टली, ethics is something that you can write in freestyle. There is no restriction like dimension, substantiation, like that. You have to quote like a lot of examples, collect lot of examples. There are a lot of topper copies, like topper notes available on ethics. Grab examples from that, grab different thinkers, philosophers, what are their messages. And also you can actually like think of the daily life examples that are given in the newspaper. So you can take them, and you can analyze the topper copies a lot. That is how you develop. Yes, ethics was tough for me as well, but soon enough I understood what is the way out. So you can do that by analyzing the topper copies and making your own notes. Okay, you can just understand how it is and you can practice. That is the only thing. And the speed also, you should increase your speed ideally in ethics, because after writing 3 back-to-back GS papers, our hand really sits on pain, and you have to overcome that pain and finish the paper with case studies also. So more practice is needed for that, I guess. And any questions? Okay, since the session is going too long, okay, daily answer writing practice and GS and Anthro. Okay, yes, as I've said, during mains हमें कुछ ज़्यादा के ज़्यादा सब्जेक्ट्स कवर करने हैं, टाइम बहुत कम मिलती है. तब like you can divide the day. You can give a slot for GS and give some 4 to 5 hours slot for Anthro every day. No matter how hectic your GS targets are, give some 4 hours solid for your optional revision or answer writing every day. Like if you are not able to write answers for optional on each day basis, you can simply brainstorm, but do that every day. And this is how you can manage the time. And some days when your GS are very low, the subjects are very less to cover, you can give more time to optional on that day. So this is how you can divide the time. Yes, okay. Yes, somebody asked me the mains mock test. I took Forum IAS 8 full length test for mains, and Telegram link, just be patient enough. I'll just paste it out in the comment section. There is no problem regarding it. I'll paste the Telegram channel link. And daily answer writing is essential. If you are in the beginning stage of preparation, you can simply brainstorm for say 1 month, and then you can just write it in your own words. Check it with a topper copy, like take a topper copy, and after closing the answer, write answer in your own way and check it with the toppers. But remember that do not feel low when your answer is terrible and a topper's answer is something way more, because you are comparing your first chapter with somebody else's last chapter. Do not feel low, but just look at what are the areas of improvement. Okay, what is the concise notes to be needed for mains preparation? See, for mains we'll make some theme wise notes. Suppose there is a topic called women, we'll make notes on women from different dimensions, like social justice dimension, then economy, female labor force participation, women in science and tech, all of this. We'll make some theme wise notes for mains. As and when you you are about to write the mains exam, time is very less, so for that you just write the keywords or important dimensions that you will write in the answers. So that is how you will make the short notes, and I have uploaded sample short notes in my Telegram channel. Any information about PSIR? Sorry, I do not know much about PSIR, but most probably humanities optionals are same. You can actually think of the criteria that I have mentioned and go through them, and if you find it interesting enough, you can go through that optional, like you can pick that optional. Yes, seriousness, anxiety during preparation and FOMO. Yes, I'll address this. Because see, we are writing a competitive exam. Everybody else, like lakhs of aspirants, are preparing. But remember that there are only few aspirants that are preparing very seriously. Discipline is not everybody's cup of tea. Like if you have that discipline, you believe me that you are just out of the crowd. So have that discipline in life, have that consistency to show up every day despite of different things going not your way. So show up each day, that consistency is required. And regarding FOMO, like if you are having a serious FOMO, if you are having some social media accounts, do quit from them, because I think social media is something that glorify only happiness, success and a lot of cool stuff. Like you see, people post their happy moments on social media, but nobody posts when they are in depression or when they are seriously failing at everything, right? So it is all about glorifying the good things. When you see only that, you are missing the other side of the picture. So avoid social media, and believe me that small steps will give you lot of big results cumulatively. Like after a lot of time, your small efforts will give you big result. Do not feel anxious. Everybody else is going through some toughness in life. It is common for each one of us, but believe in yourself. You will achieve it when you have that determination strong inside you, and when you have the discipline to show up every day, right? So do not feel anxious or do not have any type of FOMO. Just go at your own pace. Okay, so is there something that you need me to answer? Okay, so since we are running out of time. Okay, achievement, sports, DAF. Okay, I'll come to interview section in a while, and we'll wind up the session soon because we are running too late. Okay, I'll briefly tell you few things before I go to interview preparation. So coaching, is it mandatory or not? Like most people, most toppers say, I will also say the same thing. Firstly, coaching is needed for those students who do not have any clarity on what is exam about. You're from different educational stream altogether, like you're from engineering, medical science, that you do not have any understanding of general studies, or you need some help, that extra support to go forward. So then you can think about coaching. Again, don't fall for hefty prices. Okay, like choose something that is affordable, qualitative and accessible to you. It can be online or offline, कुछ ज़्यादा फ़र्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा. And those who are convenient, who have some guidance and who know about the exam process, they can avoid coaching, just like I avoided coaching. And identify your own situations and choose. Do not take it as a reference from a topper. Then Delhi जाना ज़रूरी है क्या? नहीं. Okay, so I personally did not come to Delhi for coaching or any test series. Only at the stage of my interviews that I had come to Delhi. Okay, so for aspirants from the southern part of India especially, or from areas that are farther to Delhi, it is not necessary that you need to go to Delhi. If you have some digital media, like you have internet connection and you have digital devices, you can study for this exam from anywhere. Okay, and okay, no, show my notes. Okay, I have actually uploaded it in my on my Telegram channel. I'll paste down the link and you can go there and check the short notes. I've uploaded many sample short notes for different subjects over there. Okay, topper notes are enough for anthro. See, topper notes are good, but you need to have your own notes, because when you are depending on somebody else, maybe if you are short on time, it's acceptable, but if you have a luxury of time, do make your own notes. Even I referred topper notes, I referred Apala Mishra ma'am notes, but end of the day I made my own notes and just took value addition. So what programs I'm enrolled with Understand UPSC, I've uploaded it, like mentioned it on my Telegram channel. You can go and check it there. And there is something that I want to discuss. Okay, plan B, because many people might be asking this. Plan B is about the balance in life. It is not something mandatory, or neither it is a shame. Okay, like if somebody is thinking about plan B, it is not that the person is not serious about UPSC. Okay, you need to understand that this is one of the biggest opportunities in our country. This exam gives you that. I accept it, but end of the day it is only an exam. When you treat this only as an exam, you will feel that a lot of load on your head is no more there, right? You can treat it this only as an exam and find some ways to study for this exam in a better fashion. Like, you can always improvise on your efforts, but no matter how much you do, there are certain factors beyond your control, and that is how uncertainty plays an important role in this exam. Be prepared for different storms this exam can put you in. That is what is my message. And I'll tell you now about the yes, personality test. We'll soon wind up this. Okay, somebody is asking about DAF and all. Okay, I'll tell you one thing, that personality test, there is a prescribed syllabus also. Like, they are looking for variety and depth of interest, which means the hobbies that you mention, what are the different kind of interests that you have in life, and how much of depth of awareness that you have for each of these interests. So that is what they are checking. And second is the clarity of thought, whether you are presenting your thoughts in a clear, concise manner or not. And leadership skills, whether you are able to project them through your answers, right? So this is how different metrics that they are going to check in personality test are given in the syllabus. Go through the syllabus, and while you are filling the DAF, be careful. Do not fill lot of things. Like, it's okay, you have a lot of interest, achievements in life, but the more you enter, the more scope you give for the board members to ask. it's okay when you know everything about them, like in detail. But what if you do not have holistic understanding of those entries that you mentioned? That will become a problem. So choose your entries wisely. And you have achievements, you can categorize, like what kind of achievement is this, what kind of questions can be asked from this, will I be able to reflect my personality better. So all of this. इंटरव्यू में सॉरी कह सकते हैं, इट्स ओके, सॉरी मैम आई डू नॉट नो, आई पर्सनली यूज्ड इट, देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल. Achievement section, okay, I had written an exam of Cambridge, so do not get frightened. This is not a high level exam, it's just an English language exam I've written in my +2. Okay, so I have entered that, so I got merit in Cambridge key exam. Then I had written, I had secured district first prize in Bhagavad Gita recitation competition. And next I've got some award of excellence for my 10th standard, right? डैफ कैसे बनाने चाहिए, राइट? सो डैफ में तो लाइक वन ओनली सिंगल थिंग दैट वी कैन एडिट, लाइक वी कैन मेंशन इज द एंट्री नंबर 7 वेर इन वी मेंशन अचीवमेंट्स एंड हॉबीज. हॉबीज भी पिक दोज in which you have real interest, okay, and you practice them daily and go through them, like research a bit on them, so that you can answer different type of questions they ask. For example, in my interview they asked almost 90 to 95% questions only on those entry number 7, the achievements and hobbies section. So you realize how much important these sections are. Okay, yes, questions that are asked in the interview, they will try to analyze your personality from different angles, whether you have that balance of opinion, whether you are vocal about your rights, whether you know how to deal with your seniors, how to converse with them. So these are certain important criteria they are looking forward. So in my interview also they asked questions like that, like do you believe in God, because Bhagavad Gita is mentioned, and I also mentioned that I proactively managed school annual day celebrations. So they asked me that also, what is meant by proactively, how did you proactively manage your annual days of the school. And there was something about science fair that I mentioned in DAF. So if you are given an opportunity now, what kind of projects that you will select for the science fair. So in this fashion they have asked different questions on this entry number 7, achievements and hobbies. Okay, and one important tip that I will tell you for interview is that do not approach interview in a question answer manner. You see, if they want answer from you, they can simply give you out a form to write whatever questions they have, but they are not doing that, they are conversing with you. So you do the same, converse with them. As and when the question is demanding, you can elaborate and you can restrict the extent of the answer, right? So this is how you will answer different questions in the interview, making it mostly conversational in nature. Okay, thorough preparation of DAF is needed, and you can prepare for this DAF whatever is there mentioned, like your street name, your city name excuse me, and the history of your city. All of this you can just go through in detail, know about your own selves, and that is how you will get better marks in the interview. Okay, language paper in mains is not an issue, you can easily go through, there is no big issue in that. Okay, not good at speaking, okay fine, you are admitting that, that is no big issue, because while we are preparing for this exam we sit isolated and we barely talk to anyone. So take some friend, have some peer group and start speaking to yourself daily, or if you do not find any of them, do what I did. So I placed a mirror in my room and I used to speak to myself every day during the interview phase. That is how I overcame this particular thing, and I was able to speak like fluently with confidence. You can also practice the same. Yes, mock interview and UPSC interview are different because मॉक इंटरव्यू में क्वेश्चन ज़्यादातर कैसे है कि उन लोग लाइक बोर्ड मेंबर्स विल आस्क यू क्वेश्चंस एंड यू विल से आंसर्स, बट इन यूपीएससी इंटरव्यू they try to make a conversation with you. They are not expecting answers. They are trying to have a conversation with you, and do not bluff. Stay honest in the interview and try to project your qualities through your answers. Keep it in a conversational tone. Be respectful and be polite. Okay, value addition notes. Value addition is very simple. You see, it can be some, if we talk about GS1, history ka chronology, dates, kingdoms, maps, sites like IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, different sites, diagrams. Those are for GS1. For GS2, Supreme Court judgments, Politica articles, okay, committee recommendations. For GS3, government data from websites, from reports, from Niti Aayog report. Okay. Yeah, so most of these are the value addition. And interview में sorry is you can have different words, synonyms for the same word. So बार बार आप sorry नहीं बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है? Like it will look monotonic, right? It is not like गलत नहीं है, लेकिन it will look monotonic. For that you can say I apologize ma'am, I'll read on it. I apologize ma'am, I'll check on it. So these are certain things. You can find similar synonyms and use them. And when a board member is giving you information on something that you didn't answer, do converse with them in a thankful manner. Like you say, thank you ma'am for adding this to me. Thank you sir for this information. So you can converse like that. And finally, if I can give some tips to the aspirants. So firstly, do not make this preparation very isolated and boring, because this preparation is not something that is going to end in 1 to 2 months, right? It is for a long period. So try to maintain that balance in life. Pursue different hobbies in leisure time. Give some time in life away from this exam as well, because a lot of time we get immersed into it so much so that our mental health is on stake. So be very sure about your physical and mental health. Have some physical activity, like you can practice Zumba or yoga, meditation, something like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll answer about the data and facts just a minute. And then have some discipline in life. Your work hours plus your leisure time प्लस गुड फूड, दैट इज़ ज़्यादा के ज़्यादा होम मेड हो सकता है तो ठीक हो जाएगा. एंड 6 to 8 hours of sleep, plus no anxiety and FOMO. Like I understand that we feel anxious, but try to reduce it. You need to understand that you have to walk 50 steps a day and come back and sleep and do that similar task the next day. You have that end goal, but do not worry about it each day. Just do whatever you can on that particular day. Plan for a week, plan for a month. So in this way you can go forward. Do not feel anxious. And everybody has their own time to shine. Do not compare yourself with somebody else. You have your own strength. Try working on that and you will see positive results. Focus more on the efforts and on the controllables that you have in life. Beyond controllables, you cannot do anything. So do not feel anxious about all of those uncertain factors. Just do whatever is in your hands. Rest is rest. That's it. Okay. So these are my tips. Believe in yourself. Persevere through the challenges. Challenges is something that will make your life more interesting, big or small, but challenges are essential for our growth. Believe in yourself always. And I may wind up the session. It went past 1 hour 40 minutes. If you have any specific query, just write it down. And somebody just asked about the value addition. See, value addition, once you made different fact sheets, I used to write them on A4 sheets. and then I used to revise it while walking or while taking breaks in between. That is how I used to memorize. And remember, no notes is perfect. Everybody's notes is flawed in some sense. Even my notes is also flawed, but yes, it met my needs for the exam. So that is important. Make your own notes. It might not be the perfect one, but it can be that one that will help you in the exam. And also, one important thing is that uh, we are not able to write all of the facts or notes that we made into the exam. We only write the limited amount of information or value addition. Even if we can replicate 40 to 50% from our answers in the main exam, remember your job is done. That is itself important. Okay, so I wish you all the best. Do not worry about the uncertain things. Just do whatever is in your hands. Believe in yourself. Keep your physical and mental health and emotional health intact. Do care about your own self, and yeah, do not have FOMO. Just chase your own dreams in the life. Thank you, and I'll find some other time to interact with you students. I wish you all the best.